YouTube, it's me, Mr. Lawless. I wanted to talk to you guys about Syria and what's going on with our government and basically a war that's being started in Syria. And basically, I want to tell you my pretty much philosophy on wars in the Middle East and toppling dictators. My philosophy is you don't get involved. That's up to their people. If their people want to rise up and have a civil war, if their people want to have a revolution, that's their business. We shouldn't get involved. Because in my experience, when you topple one dictator and you put in another dictator, usually the dictator that you put in is much more brutal on the people than the dictator previous. And that's just my experience, because at least people know what to expect out of this dictator. But basically, it came out that Obama has signed a secret executive order. And how does a secret executive order get leaked out almost immediately? But where he's funding the rebels and Al-Qaeda, basically. Yeah, really funny that our government's funding Al-Qaeda, huh? All very strange, indeed. But basically, he's funding the rebels to fight proxy wars in Syria. And we have troops. There's a lot of news stories that we have troops waiting on the outside of the borders of Syria. And just if you're keeping count, this would be the second war that Obama has got us engaged in without going to Congress for permission. Both acts which are impeachable offensives. But hey, Obama's a dictator. He has a great media covering his rear end, and we have a Congress that has been castrated. And so why should we expect anything to change? Now, don't get me wrong, there's a handful of people in Congress that basically would act to impeach this president. A few have already spoken up and said as such, but the most of Congress are just a bunch of ballless cowards. They're there to get their paycheck and insider trade and get the goods and the spoils of the seat. So, but who are we supporting? Who are we giving money to topple Assad? Well, the leader of the opposition just recently said Assad, his wife, and children will be killed in the streets like Gaddafi was killed in the streets. And I'll put the story link below, that way you know what I'm talking about. And so that's who we're giving money to. We're giving money to a rebel group that wants to kill not only the dictator, which you could make an argument for, but the dictator's wife and his children. And I think his children's, at least one of them is actually a toddler. So these are the people that we're supporting. And I don't want to get involved in it. It's not up to me. I don't have a moral judgment. I'm not on the ground over there. I don't know what's going on. And you can't go by news reports because they're just propaganda. The propaganda to manipulate you. So you can't believe any of that stuff. But I can tell you what I do know. I know that the action that we took in Libya was illegal. We shouldn't have been involved in that. He did not get permission from Congress. I think Obama said, or not Obama, but Panetta said that they got permission from the UN for that action, so it was okay. But Congress didn't declare war in Libya. Congress hasn't declared war in Syria, nor do I think that they would. I think the majority of the American people are not for another war in Syria. I want to know what you guys think. Comment below. But I'm pretty certain at this point that Obama will have Syria, as he had Libya. And I'm pretty certain that the Muslim Brotherhood will probably take over in Syria, just like they did in Libya. And here's another reference for you. I want to know how many of you actually get this reference, but I believe that Assad will be Obama's third king. Now, I want to know, do you know what I'm referring to or not? But I think Assad will be Obama's third king. And if you do know what I'm referring to, I kind of say it in tongue-in-cheek, but I want to know who got that reference. So if you got that reference, put it down below, and I want to know what you think about Syria. Should we be involved? Are you for the war in Syria? Are you all of a sudden a neocon? Even neocons aren't for the war in Syria. Look, Obama blamed Bush for attacking Iraq and Afghanistan after 9/11, and yet he acts like Bush was such a warmonger. But we have a president that's going around just toppling dictators, get us into... At least Bush went to Congress for approval. Obama hasn't gone to Congress for approval for Libya. He's not going to go for Syria. At this point, I don't even know if you'd get a permission to attack Iran. And this is all going to lead to a third world war. Make no doubt about it. Russia and China are sick of us meddling in these other countries. A lot of them, where they get their oil, it's basically like their Saudi Arabia. Our country would be pretty pissed off if Russia went over and carpet bombed Saudi Arabia, because it would completely devastate our economy initially, because that's where we get our oil. Well, they get their oil from Syria and Iran. And so if we do the same thing to them, it's going to devastate Russia and China. It'll devastate them economically. That's all I got to say. I want to know what you guys think. Lawless out.